Yes, you read that right. I was an absolutely terrible coworker. My name is Dr. Amy Hager, and I am an education reform strategist. And in this video, we're going to talk about why I was an absolutely terrible coworker when I was a public school teacher. So, I started my career working in a non-public school, and those are schools where like typically kids live with you on the premises. I love that job, and I loved my team, and I was awesome, right? Then I think what kind of started to happen was because I loved my kids so much, I really started to see how they were being treated, especially when I transitioned to public school. Some things that like they weren't allowed to do because, you know, when their disabilities begin to manifest, they cuss you out and talk about your mom. Like they're real rude. But it doesn't matter. They have a disability and I love them. And just to see how they were mistreated, it kind of made me like, okay, well, fine. You don't want to treat my kids right. You don't want to be good to my kids. Fine. I don't want to sit with you guys. I don't want to go to your trainings. And so I think some of that started there. But it was deeper than that. If I roll back to when I was in high school or middle school or whatever, like I would be like cool with people, but I wasn't like hanging out with them. And of course, this is the day before social media. So like June would come and summer would be over and I literally wouldn't speak to any of those people until the end of the year or the end of the summer and or like Christmas break, weekends, like we didn't talk to people from school. So anyway, but that was me. So when I think about how I was as an adult and a worker, I just assumed nobody was going to like me. I just assumed that I was going to be rejected. I just assumed, like I accepted their rejection before it was even on the table. I just assumed nobody was going to like me. All right. And so I really had to race to the root about why I felt like I wasn't going to be accepted. And so I really had to kind of dive into like things that happened when I was a child and, you know, pretty much every issue you have. And look, I love my mom into pieces and I love my dad, God rest his soul. But like a high percentage of our issues in regards to interpersonal relationships come from our parents. So whether they weren't really there or whether they didn't make you feel welcome or they made you have to constantly try for their affection or attention or whatever it is, like that like happens when you become an adult and that's how you are going to respond to other people. So I had to kind of sit back and say, okay, who told me that I wasn't good enough to be in their circle? Where did that come from? And so I had to address all that stuff, right? And so now as a business owner, I have to go and dig all that stuff up and address it because if I don't, I'm going to perpetuate that stuff in my company. And me being the boss, I want to make sure that I'm facilitating an empathetic, compassionate work environment because it's the right thing to do. Like, I don't want my staff feeling like I don't care about them. And I don't want them to feel like they have to constantly be defensive. I don't want them to feel like they can't ask for help or be vulnerable with anything. Like, I want them to feel secure and I want them to feel accepted. So I was a terrible coworker before and I apologize. Like, if I knew you between years of maybe 2009, 10, no, let's say like 11, 2011, 12-ish to let's say 2018, 19, 18. Yeah. When I left my job, you may be entitled to a structured settlement and I deeply apologize. I am sorry for being rude and not speaking to you at the copy machine. I am sorry that I did not want to sit with you at professional development. I apologize. It was all on me. So why did I do all of these things? It was a defense mechanism. There's this idea of a shadow self, okay? It's this part of you that you didn't even realize was there. Kind of like your shadow. It kind of follows you around. It's there, but you don't really pay any mind to it. But I'm telling you, she was taking notes. Who wronged me? And what we were going to do to make sure that Amy never got hurt again, whether it was with a coworker getting rude, whether it was a supervisor being nasty. And it only took one. It only took one boss to be ignorant to me. And I was like, you know what? I don't even need you. Don't come and ask me for help or ask me if I need anything because I don't need your help. I don't want your help. I got it. Like like my shadow self put up these walls to make sure that I did not get stressed out like that again by a supervisor. Now, was she doing some wrong things? Absolutely. But I should have given my future supervisor, I should have given them a fresh start. But I did not. And I made them work for my attention. Like, I made them work for it. Like, if they were going to help me, they were really going to have to come far, because I had walls of like stubbornness and stank attitudes and driven of like I was going to prove a point. I don't need you. At the end of the day, why? Is it really necessary to be so defensive all the time? No. It's exhausting, and it makes it not fun. And at some point, I just hated going to work. And it was a job that I loved so much. But I have to give credit where it's due. And my shadow self, while those boundaries and the defense mechanisms were helpful in keeping me guarded and protected, they ultimately impacted all of the relationships that I would have that could help me have a really awesome career. It made me so, for instance, Teacher of the Year. Okay, so the way Teacher of the Year goes is students, and at least where I used to work, the students and the parents can nominate, right? But it's the teachers who pick you. All right. So it was my coworkers that were going to have to vote for me. I sat on that ballot probably 4 years and never would get it. When I finally left my job, the last day of school, like the last couple days of school. Now, I was the person who would like plan the birthdays and graduations, baby showers, anything to get a cake and pizza. I was the one collecting money, go get the gift cards, that kind of stuff. When I left, they had a going away party and they got presents for everybody but me. Like, people in the building who were there part-time, who had only been there a couple months, that were just transferring to another building, got cake and presents, and I got nothing. Nothing. The next day, my principal brought me a card, and another one of my coworkers brought me a gift, and I'm very appreciative. But I thought, wow. Like, I went in the bathroom and cried, because I was like, are you serious? You guys known all year that I had started my company and I was gonna leave, and you didn't do anything for me. But you know what? That was the bed I made for myself, so I had to sleep in it. So, thinking of shadow selves, I love her and I appreciate her, but I have to shift her behaviors. Her intentions are awesome because she wants to keep me safe, but I have to use her for good. Now that I know she's there, I'm like, okay, sis, like, let's team up and go do something awesome. So I have one more video I want you to check out. If you go in the link below, there's going to be one more video I want you to access, and it's literally called How to Get Your Shadow Self to Work for You. And it's, now that we've identified her, now that we know what she's capable of, my shadow self helped me open an entire business. I opened a business just so I didn't have to have a boss anymore. Just so I didn't have to answer to anybody. That I didn't need anybody. I did it by myself, right? But it was so much harder. If I had just gotten help earlier, like if I had just maybe hired a marketing team or hired a business coach a lot sooner or got somebody else to help me, like it wouldn't have been as difficult. Like it is challenging to start a business, but I was so stubborn and I had such a snake attitude. I'm surprised I was able to get the teachers that I do have, because they're super awesome and I love them to pieces. But I definitely had to have a chat with Miss Shadow Self and get her to be a little nicer. I appreciate all of her work, but we don't have to be so mean all the time. So go ahead and grab that link. This stuff is really important. Some of the best work and most important work I've ever done in my entire life. So please grab it, and let's get started. I'm excited.